In the previous video, we learned how words like at least, at most, more than, and less than translate into inequality symbols. But knowing the symbols isn't enough. Can you use them to solve a real exam question? In this video, we'll solve 3 inequality word problems, step by step, from a simple one to a challenging exam-style question. And I'll show you the easiest way to know what to write, what to solve, and how to solve it. And at the end, I'll give you a challenge question to solve on your own using everything you have learned in this video. Let's get started. Question 1. A school bus can carry a maximum of 48 students. If there are already 19 students on the bus, how many more students can board the bus? Now, pay attention, because I'm going to show you a simple method that can help you approach almost any inequality word problem without fear. First, read the question carefully. We need to understand 2 things. What information has the question given us? And, what exactly are we being asked to find? Once we know those 2 things, we translate the information into a mathematical statement, and then we solve it. So let's read the question again, slowly, and pick out the important information. A school bus can carry a maximum of 48 students. This means the total number of students the bus can carry is 48 or fewer. I'm going to underline this information because we're going to need it. Next statement is, if there are already 19 students on the bus. This tells us that 19 students are already on the bus. We underline this as well. Look at the final part. How many more students can board the bus? This is what the question wants us to find. We don't know this number yet. So let's give it a name. Let X represent the number of additional students that can board the bus. Now let's put all the information together. We already have 19 students on the bus. We're adding X more students. So the total number of students becomes 19 plus X. And because the bus can carry a maximum of 48 students, that total must be less than or equal to 48. So we write, less than or equal to 48. Now let's solve. The goal here is to get X by itself. So we need to remove 19, we subtract 19 from both sides. Remember what you do on one side, do the same on the other side. Now we have 19 minus 19 plus X is less than or equal to 48 minus 19. 19 minus 19 is 0. And we are left with X. 48 minus 19 is 29. So we have X is less than or equal to 29. This means the number of additional students must be 29 or fewer. But let's not just stop there. Let's check our answer. If we add 29 more students to the 19 already on the bus, what do we get? Let's see. 19 plus 29 equals 48. Perfect. We have exactly 48 students, which is the maximum the bus can carry. So 29 is the maximum number of additional students that can board the bus. Question 2. A father has 25,000 naira to spend on exercise books. He wants to buy some books costing 1,500 naira each, and must have at least 4,000 naira left after the purchase. What is the maximum number of books he can buy? Now let's look at this carefully. Remember the process we are using. First, we read the question carefully to identify the information given. Then, we identify what the question wants us to find. Next, we translate the information into an inequality. Then, we solve the inequality, and finally, we check our answer. So let's start. The question says, a father has 25,000 naira to spend on exercise books. Let's underline that. This tells us the amount of money he has available. Next, he wants to buy some books costing 1,500 naira each. Now, we don't know how many books he wants to buy. But we know something important, one book costs 1,500 naira. Let's underline that as well. Now look at the next part, and must have at least 4,000 naira left after the purchase. It means that after buying the books, he must still have 4,000 naira or more left. We learned in our previous lesson that at least means the value cannot be below the given number. So, at least 4,000 naira means 4,000 or more. Now, what exactly are we being asked to find? The question says, what is the maximum number of books he can buy? That's what we don't know. So let's represent the number of books by X. Now, let's put all the information together. If one book costs 1,500 naira, and we want to buy X number of books, then the total cost of the books will be 1,500 times X, which we can simply write as 1,500X. Now, the father starts with 25,000 naira. If he spends 1,500X naira on the books, how much money will he have left? We subtract the amount he spends from the amount he has. So the money left will be 25,000 minus 1,500X. And remember, he must have at least 4,000 naira left. That means the amount left must be 4,000 naira or more. So the inequality symbol will be greater than or equal to 4,000. Now we have successfully translated the word problem into an inequality. Let's solve it. Our goal is the same as before, we want X by itself. First, we need to get rid of the 25,000. So we subtract 25,000 from both sides. Remember, what you do on one side, you must do on the other side. So we have 25,000 minus 25,000 minus 1,500X greater than or equal to 4,000 minus 25,000. $25,000 minus 25,000 is 0. So we're left with minus 1,500X, and 4,000 minus 25,000 is minus 21,000. Divide both sides by minus 1,500. Now pay very close attention here, because this is a rule you must never forget. In inequality, when you divide both sides by a negative number, you must reverse the inequality sign. So our greater than or equal to sign becomes less than or equal to. Now, the minus 1,500 will cancel out. And we're left with X less than or equal to 14. Therefore, the number of books he can buy must be 14 or fewer. That means the maximum number of books he can buy is 14 books. But let's not stop there. Let's verify and see. If he buys the maximum number of books, which is 14, and each book costs 1,500 naira, the total cost will be 1,500 times 14, which equals 21,000 naira. He started with 25,000 naira. So the money left will be 25,000 minus 21,000 equals 4,000. And the question says he must have at least 4,000 naira left. Therefore, the maximum number of exercise books he can buy is 14. Question 3. The length of a rectangular garden is 5 meters greater than its width. The perimeter of the garden must be less than 70 meters. Find the possible values of the width. Now, this is our final question, and it's a little more challenging than the first two. But don't worry, we're going to use exactly the same process. First, we read the question carefully to identify the information given. Then, we identify what the question wants us to find. Next, we translate the information into an inequality. Then, we solve the inequality, and finally, we check our answer. So let's start. The question says, the length of a rectangular garden is 5 meters greater than its width. Let's underline that. The next statement says, the perimeter of the garden must be less than 70 meters. This is very important. We learned from our previous lesson that less than does not include the boundary value. So, the perimeter must be below 70 meters. It cannot be exactly 70 meters. Now, the question asks us to find the possible values of the width. So we are looking for the width. Since we don't know the width, let's represent it with x. Therefore, x represents the width of the garden. Now, what does the question tell us about the length? It says the length is 5 meters greater than the width. If the width is x, then 5 meters greater than the width will be x plus 5. I know someone might ask, why isn't it 5 times x? This is because 5 times x would mean that the length is 5 times the width. But that's not what the question says. It says the length is 5 meters greater than the width. So we add 5. Now, let's put all the information together to form the inequality. But first, we need to remember the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle. The perimeter of a rectangle is 2 times the sum of the length and the width. The length is x plus 5, and the width is x. So let's substitute them into the formula. The perimeter becomes 2 bracket x plus 5 plus x bracket close. And the question says the perimeter must be less than 70 meters. So we write less than 70. Now we have successfully translated the word problem into an inequality. Let's solve it. Our goal is the same as before, we want x by itself. First, let's simplify what's inside the bracket. We have x plus x, which gives us 2x. So we write 2 bracket 2x plus 5 bracket close less than 70. Next, we remove the bracket by multiplying everything inside the bracket by 2. 2 times 2x is 4x. And 2 times 5 is 10. So we have 4x plus 10 less than 70. Now, we want x by itself. We first need to get rid of the 10. So we subtract 10 from both sides. So we have 4x plus 10 minus 10 less than 70 minus 10. 10 minus 10 is 0. So we're left with 4x. And 70 minus 10 is 60. So we have 4x less than 60. Now, we need to get rid of the 4 attached to x. So we divide both sides by 4. The 4 will cancel out, and we're left with just x. And 60 divided by 4 is 15. So we have x less than 15. This means the width of the garden must be less than 15 meters. But let's think carefully. Mathematically, x less than 15 includes 0 and negative numbers. But can the width of a garden be 0 or negative? No. The width of a garden must be greater than 0. So x must be greater than 0. But less than 15. Which can be written as 0 is less than x, which is less than 15. Therefore, the width must be greater than 0 but less than 15 meters. For example, the width could be 2 meters, 5 meters, 10.5 meters, or 14.9 meters. But it cannot be 15 meters or anything greater. Let's verify and see. Remember, our inequality came from the condition that the perimeter must be less than 70 meters. Let's try a width of 14 meters. If the width is 14 meters, then the length will be 14 plus 5, which equals 19 meters. Now let's find the perimeter using the formula. The perimeter will be 2 bracket 19 plus 14 bracket close. 19 plus 14 is 33. So 2 times 33 is 66. Which is less than 70 meters. Therefore, if the width is 14 meters, the perimeter is 66 meters. Now, how about a width of 15 meters? Let's see. If the width is 15 meters, the length will be 15 plus 5, which equals 20 meters. The perimeter will be 2 bracket 20 plus 15, bracket close. 20 plus 15 is 35. And 2 times 35 is 70 meters. But, the perimeter must be less than 70 meters. So 15 meters for the width is wrong. And that's it for today's lesson. Remember, solving inequality word problems is not about guessing the sign or rushing into calculations. You have to read the question, understand the information, identify what you're looking for, translate it into an inequality, solve it, and check your answer. Now, I will leave you with this question to test your understanding. A student has already scored 42 marks in a test. He needs at least 60 marks in total to pass the course. In the examination, each question carries 3 marks. What is the minimum number of questions he must answer correctly to pass the course? Let me see who gets it right in the comment section. And remember, don't just give me the answer. Try to form the inequality first. I'll see you in the next lesson.